Real quick, I'd like to give our gracious host a chance to introduce us. I'd like to welcome Reverend Terry Walker up to the stage. Sir?
On behalf of our President Robert Michael Franklin, and on behalf of Dean Lawrence Edward Carter, who is the Dean of the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel, at whose invitation this has taken place, I want to bid you welcome. Thank you for being here. And just give you a very brief context of this room in which you sit. If you get an opportunity to see pictures of the life of, for example, Dr. Martin Luther King, one of those pictures shows him sitting in this front row. During the time that he was a student here, chapel was required of all Morehouse students every morning. Most of those mornings were hosted by the president of the college, who spoke to all Morehouse students. That was a time that contributed to the formation of a person who took his vision of what faith may be, his theology, and allowed that then to simmer and to grow and to develop in such a way that he had virtually an international impact on a lot of different levels. So I don't think it's really much of an accident that you happen to be here at the beginning of yet another movement. So I want to welcome you to this place and let you know that those spirits yet exist in this room. Our current president, Dr. Franklin, talks about trying to form young men who have a social conscience and a global vision. And that's a part of what we're seeking to do with all of our students. So at least for the moment, as best you can, seek to soak in some of the history and tradition, some of the theology and the hope that exists not only in this place but throughout the campus. Morehouse College is a part also of what's known as the Atlanta University Center. So there are several institutions that are connected here. We have the Morehouse School of Medicine, across the street, Spelman College, Clark Atlanta University, the Interdenominational Theological Center, Morehouse College, and even Morris Brown College. So this is actually a consortium that represents the largest gathering of predominantly African-American students in higher education any place in the world. So with that said, let me just welcome you to Morehouse and trust and pray that your time here will set the stage for miraculous things to come. And to thank you for allowing us to host you, and just to let you know that I'm available. I believe that Rachel, who's still running around, has my cell number in case she needs to reach me. But welcome, we're glad to have you here, and may your time here be a blessing not only to you, but to those who you will serve.
It's now my pleasure to welcome to the stage Christine, and also a representative from the Global Federation, the World Student Mission Federation. Christine.
Good evening. Good evening. I am extremely pleased to be here. It's amazing. And I knew we were coming here, but somehow, even as we drove in, I began to feel the significance of being here. You know, yes, of being together, but of being here. The history, tradition, theology, and hope here. And I don't know what I should know, and I'm looking forward to learning more about that while I'm here. And I think it isn't a mistake that we're here. It's amazing. I just got off the plane this morning from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where I was helping implement the regional expression of a federation-wide effort to clarify WSCF's development work and increase our ability to speak into the world, our world today, and to develop skills we need to do it. That's a big story. Maybe we can talk about that later. It was a good event. It had representatives of most of the movements in the Latin America and Caribbean region. And they knew that I was coming here and that this event was happening, and they sent their greetings. As you know, you may know or you may not know, WSCF was founded in 1895. And one of the founders was this American that has been mentioned, John R. Mott. He was the first General Secretary of the World Student Christian Federation and a Methodist, and he won the 1946 Nobel Peace Prize. He said, among many profound things, "We need to live under the spell of immediacy. What other time will there be? What other generation than the present can we work with?" To kind of echo what Luciano was saying. We are privileged to have several guests with us who will help us to know and understand and appreciate more about our history. I'm not going to introduce them all. They will be introduced in a minute. But one of them, Gabi Habib, I met just a few weeks ago in Lebanon at a similar regional event around these development issues in the Middle East. And also they were having a regional event. Gabi was the first Middle East regional secretary. And he helped develop the ecumenical movement in the Middle East, the Middle East Council of Churches. And he is still doing that. We just walked in, Jorge Dominguez. He, from Brazil, a Methodist, who's a senior friend. And by the way, this is our term for our alumni, senior friend. He's on our endowment fund. And so it's really significant he's with us, because he represents yet another level of the Federation, as do all these guests, our alumni, who in fact are a part of our common life. At our General Assembly, the young woman at the youth desk of the World Council of Churches made that comment to our assembly that she didn't know of another organization that incorporated generations, different generations in quite the same way, where young people have the space to make their decisions, but they have the support and partnership of their senior friends. And I think these days, we're recognizing the importance of that even more, and wanting to learn how to maximize it. So they're not here really as guests, they're here as members. They're here as a part of us, another level of us. WSCF's legacy does not remain in the past. We're going to learn more about the past, and we're going to be inspired by it. But our legacy provides an important foundation and gives us leverage for our work today. It helps us to understand our work, our potential work, our work. I also bring you greetings on behalf of the Global Office of the World Student Christian Federation, which is based in Geneva, Switzerland, which is where I live. I'm from the United States. I live in Geneva. I've been there for 9 years, and I've worked with the Federation for about 3.5 years. We are also privileged to have with us several students and young leaders of the Federation from different regions and countries around the world in our midst right now, who will also help us understand what the Federation is from their perspective. They will help us understand their problems and their work in their context, and what the life of the Federation means to them. I'd like to just give you a little window into some of the global initiatives that have begun, because now they are opportunities for us. I met Desiree, where's Desiree, this summer, where she was volunteering her time for 2 months. And so already linkages have begun in your community, you know, with the international level of the work of the Federation. I've met Brandon before, because he actually, more than met, we're on a team and we're trying to figure out this development work. So we've actually formed a team which is mostly the executive committee members who have formed a group to really explore how to take the Federation forward in these specific kinds of issues. And we met in Jordan. We met at a training where this global team, a representative from every region, a representative from the international office, and a representative of the officers met together. I met Cody in person just last week in Geneva, where we had a delegation from the World Student Christian Federation at something called the United Nations Advocacy Week, which is something sponsored by the World Council of Churches every year. It has been in New York, and this year it was in Geneva. And it is an effort by the World Council of Churches to gather church leaders and ecumenical partners, and especially those who have some investment in the issue of the year, to bring their resources together to think about how to really make an impact on those issues. This year's themes were Nigeria and Palestine, and we weren't able to bring any African participants, which from the World Student Christian Federation, which we really missed. But we were able to bring a Palestinian student, and there is a new movement beginning in Palestine. So there's a parallel there. And the Middle East Regional Secretary, who's based in Lebanon, she's the first woman Middle East Regional Secretary. Just a note. Really interesting, really historic, really pioneering in the Middle East, here and now. And a young woman who is on a global committee called our Advocacy and Solidarity Committee, which was an initiative begun by the General Assembly just in 2008. And Cody, because Cody has already done some work bringing students to the Middle East and would like to continue that work and maybe think about how that work might fit into the life of this movement, and also think about how the World Student Christian Federation can become strategic partners with the World Council of Churches and other groups trying to solve or address or speak into these problems. And one of the first interventions, I was there for the first 2 days, one of the first interventions in the plenary was a statement about how we cannot address these problems as a community unless the youth voice is present, unless the youth voice is, if you will, mainstreamed, you know, unless we are full partners in the work. And in actuality, we were the